You're watching Town Talk, and joining me today is the Director of Planning and Development, Jim Kupfer. Jim, thank you so much for joining us in studio.
Thank you for having me.
So we're going to talk about two different public meetings that are coming up at the end of August with the Planning and Development Department. There's one about the Great Streets program, and then another one for the Open Space and Recreation Plan. Let's start with Great Streets. This has been a project the Planning and Development Department's been working on since about 2022. You had Jeff Speck. Is that his name? Did I say that
Jeff
right?
Speck.
All of a sudden I was
Yes.
just like, oh, is that his name? You had Jeff Speck come and do he's a planner, and his big thing is walkable communities.
Correct.
So let's kind of start with that, because I think that's a good basis for the rest of it's where kind of this all came from.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me again. And yes, a great time to be talking about the Great Streets project and program. It did start back in early 2022, and here internally a little bit even before that. In 2021, we began to engage an engineering group called Stantec, and they are closely aligned with Jeff Speck and the Urban Walkable Community Network. And between the two of them, they really started to look at the initiative of what should we be doing with Main Street? How can we better our downtown, our Main Street, to make it a more of a destination, a walkable community, as you mentioned. And so early in 2022, we brought them on board to begin to analyze our existing conditions, our current network of downtown Hyannis in the harbor, and how we can improve it to essentially revitalize what's already a flourishing downtown. And so we started with our public outreach, as we always do. And we brought in a great group of engineers, as well as our planning staff, and we hosted a public forum to really introduce the subject and start to get people's ideas about how we could improve our Main Street and our downtown network. It was really well attended.
Yes, they were. I remember recording them and just being so impressed by the amount of people. I mean, I think maybe standing room only.
Standing room only.
There was a lot of interest in this project.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really been a long time coming. I mean, we talk about 2022, 2021, but this has been an ongoing subject matter since, from my understanding, in the 60s, they would transition it back and forth. And so this would be more of a permanent makeup. But so we talked to the public, got a lot of support for continuing on the conversation and diving into the details about how best to improve our downtown. And so we set the engineers off to look at, what are our traffic counts, what are our pinch points, what are our safety hazards, and safety was kind of an underlying theme here. How can we improve downtown for safety measures? I think those who live here year-round know the ongoing pinch points of a two-lane Main Street, so crossing across two-lane Main Street, you have one car coming and then one jockeying around, and the concerns that brings for us as pedestrians. And then obviously on South Street, that's just a thoroughfare that you'll see from time to time throughout the day, and this really does improve that. And so we started to analyze that, brought it back to the public as to what we think are the best practices to move forward with, and tried to make sure that we're on the mark with the public. And it's by and large, again, another public forum, standing room only, and by and large everyone seemed to say, yes, let's keep marching forward, let's see this through, let's get to the finish line and make it a great project. Today, we're getting really close. Our engineering team has been looking at the fine details of how we can kind of flip that switch from one-way to two-way, and we're nearing the 75% design, which is what the meeting is about upcoming here in August.
At the meeting on August 27th, what can people expect to learn more about? Like you said, it's only 75%, so there's still time for feedback and information exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, on August 27th, 6:30 here at Town Hall, we'll be hosting a public forum for everyone to get a sense of what that 75%, what those true improvements look like. In the previous meetings, it was more conceptual, generally speaking. One-way to two-way is kind of, it makes sense in people's brains, but when you get into the details, now you can start to see the finer movements that we all, living here year-round, will come to expect when we truly do turn from one-way to two-way. And the public will get an opportunity to see those details, zoom in to maybe their business and say, okay, there's going to be parking spaces here. We're going to be maybe improving ADA compliance in certain areas as well, which is a big part of this project. So people that are interested in that can zoom in on that location, and we'll have a team walking everyone through all those different improvements. So people can see how it's truly going to impact them on a day-to-day. One of the big things that the public will see and has seen in past meetings is the real linchpin of this two-way Main Street is our 6 Points intersection.
Right.
So that's a challenging intersection. It has been for decades, where South Street and Ocean Street and Old Colony all come together to form 6 Points. So how can we better that intersection by now adding two-way to the mix? So you'll see a small roundabout that's being proposed for that location. I tell people to take a look at the one over at the HYCC. Mm-hmm. Very similar in size. And we look to that to potentially be a real eye-opening experience for when you're coming to the harbor. It could be a real decorative view shed that you'll see as you come down Ocean Street to the harbor, welcoming you to the harbor. Mm-hmm. It could be a real big improvement to what's existing today. Yeah. So everyone will get to come, see what's proposed, offer their input. As you mentioned, we're at 75% design, so we got that one more hurdle before we get to 100% design. If all goes well, we'll be looking at putting out a request for proposals this winter. To get a contractor on board and get us going to implementation.
So Jim, you mentioned that there'll be an RFP process this winter. What does the construction schedule look like at this time? And I know it could change, but where are we looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it could change, but we're hopeful that we're staying on track. As I mentioned, request for proposals this winter. If successful with procuring a contractor, there might be some slight mobilization the following spring, so looking at the spring of 2026. But by and large, the construction schedule will begin in the fall of 2026, with maybe a punch list in the spring of 2027 and wrapping up certainly before the summer of 2027. The whole construction schedule is meant to minimize any impact to downtown Hyannis. Obviously, as construction schedule is nearing, we will begin to develop out a communications plan because it's going to be a big change for a lot of folks, not just our year-round residents, but for our tourists coming back and visiting our community. So we'll be thinking about our signage package and our communications plan and working closely with you all on that.
Great. If we've learned anything from the changes they made to the Bourne Bridge Rotary, communication is key. I actually successfully went around the Rotary last night for the first time the correct way. So communication is key, and we'll definitely be helping with that. So just for everyone to remember that the meeting is August 27th at 6:30 p.m. here at Town Hall in the hearing room. All are welcome to attend and participate and learn more about the project. The next piece that we're going to talk about, you guys have a meeting just the next night. Yeah, we're very busy week for planning and development that week. Thursday, August 28th at 6 p.m. You're going to have a meeting about the open space and recreation plan. Now, the open space and recreation plan has been updated since 2018, and I do remember that. I've been for the town for a very long time. So let's talk about exactly what that is. Yeah,
absolutely. So another important project and another important time here in the town of Barnstable is looking at our open space and recreation plan. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the town of Barnstable's plan for how we are to improve our open space in general and our recreational opportunities here in our community. The open space plan, as you mentioned, 2018 was the last update. And this is a state prescribed plan. So the state requires that every community take a look at their open space and recreation plan so that you are now eligible for future state grants, which we've been very successful on in the past. So we want to keep that plan updated. It's also a good practice for the community to update the plan. The plan itself really looks at our existing conditions, what we have for open space, which we have an abundance of, what we have for recreation, and then what's our strengths and weaknesses. So what do we as Barnstable have for our trails that might be a strength for both year-round and our tourist population, as well as weaknesses, areas that we constantly are saying, man, we could do better on.
Right.
And then it's really diving into our priorities, and that's where the public really gets involved. Is what are our priorities moving forward? And we want to hear from the public as to, man, it would have been great if we were able to do this. And this is the time to express that. Because, we've recently, as we've recently undertaken our local comprehensive plan, which is a much broader look at our community. And one of the top priorities was open space and recreation.
Right.
We could, with everyone, it seems like in our community really cherishes those opportunities. So what are our priorities? This meeting is meant to hear from the public and get a sense of those priorities so we can get those in our plan and potentially eligible for grants.
Great. And part of this meeting is there's a survey that residents can take before the meeting. It's open until, I think, August 17th.
Correct. Yep.
And it will inform kind of what's talked about at the meeting on Thursday, the 28th, which is why it closes about 10 days before. So you have time to go through all of that information. So definitely look for the survey. And what kind of questions are asked in the survey?
Yeah, so the survey has a number of different questions, much of which we just covered. What are our priorities for our community? What are things that you have seen in your area? In your village, perhaps in your neighborhood, that you would like us to better? What are things that are strengths in our community? And what are the different areas that you utilize most often? And that really gives us a sense beforehand of what feeling the temperature of the community, and so we can begin to have that a knowledgeable discussion on our priorities. Yes, and so the survey ends on the 17th. It's found online on the town's website, and we'd love for everyone to participate in that first, so that we can start sifting through the data and understanding priorities, and then really have a good, robust discussion on the 28th.
Great. Yeah, I did take the survey.
Good.
So you can be as very complete as you want to be. You can really pinpoint, if you're in your neighborhood, that maybe this would be a great place for a park, or this would be a great place for a playground, or this would be a great place for a trail. You can literally, on the map, put a pin in and say, this is where I think or you can just be like, yeah, I think we need more. You can be as vague or verbose as you want to be, I guess is the way to kind of say. You can give as much information as you want or as little as information as you want, but it's all good information.
Absolutely.
Excellent, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about these two great open meetings for the public to participate.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.